What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Lamont's Gym and Custom Knives Show, the number 3 podcast. Please forgive me. I just got through cutting grass, and I am wore out. Neither one of my batteries for the weed eater were charged, so, and it's going to rain the next couple of days, so in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be doing a lot of yard work, so I'm looking forward to that. Plus, I have got to go to my grandkids' graduation, my 2 twin grandboys. So I had to get cleaned up, and I promised myself I'd do a show today because whenever I get an opportunity, I want to do a show, put some content out, make me feel good about myself. But before I get into the show, let me address this real quick. It makes me feel good, especially when it's my grandchildren that's graduating. I know it's just kindergarten, and my granddaughter, I think she graduated kindergarten maybe a couple years ago. They graduated preschool last year, so this will be kindergarten. Technically, kindergarten would be your first, how can I put it, legit graduation, I guess you could say, because it's kindergarten, elementary. You don't count junior high. You count high school, then, your college and so on and so forth. So out of the top 4, kindergarten is number 1. That's your starting point. And I'm going to tell you why it makes me feel so good, because in kindergarten, that's one of the few times in my life that I was the top of my class at anything. And I know what you say, hell, you couldn't even read and write in kindergarten. Who gives a damn? Well, I give a damn for the simple fact, when it came to clay, blocks, when we went out to recess and played kickball and did this and did that, I was the top of everything. And damn it, it made me feel good. So I don't care what anybody else think, to each his own. That makes me feel good. I was top of my class in kindergarten, and I will carry that to the grave with me. Kindergarten is the starting block for any child of learning. When a child comes out of the womb, that child starts to learn. He picks up on everything around him. Mother, father, grandparents. That's why I hate to see these little babies and these kids when they're stuck. The mama and these raggedy Negroes smoking weed and cussing and listening to rap music. They pick up on all that. How do you think they're gonna turn out? So that's why it's very important. And my 2 grandbabies, all 3 of my grandbabies are in wonderful situations. I really hate that my daughter is, her child, my granddaughter, her father's not in her life, and I really hate that. I really hate that. But my 2 grandboys, they got a wonderful supporting cast. With the mother, her parents. I think her mama's kind of sick. But my son is there. He's doing his job, and Lord Jesus, thank you. I don't care whatever he does the rest of his life. To me, that's the most important thing he can do as a father, as a human being, as a person, as a child of God, is to take care and raise your children. So I'm about to go enjoy that. I'm gonna see my son and my daughter-in-law, my grandbabies here in about 4 hours. So let me get into the topic of the show today. I don't know if you guys know anything about Jason Whitlock. Jason Whitlock is one of the few cats that I admired and listen to on a daily basis when it comes to podcasts. And he is a journalist, former Ball State football player. And when the algorithm first took me to Jason Whitlock, I'm like, wow, here's this black dude, he's interviewing and talking to a bunch of, good Christian people. Mainly talk about sports, but talk about other worldly things. And I'm like, wow, here we got the same mindset, the same vision. And here lately, I'm gonna tell you something, just like many others, my likability for Jason Whitlock has kind of went down a little bit. He claims he was never, a Republican or MAGA. Um, he only voted for Donald Trump, to get the January 6 people out, and because they stood they stood against abortion, and just like many others, he's starting to, say things that just don't make any sense to me. Um, I still like the guy. I still listen to his content daily. He has a guest called Steve Kim, boxing guy, who I really really like, and Jay Skapanek is a basketball guy who I really really like, and guy named Dre Baldwin. He's a former basketball guy. Really really like Dre, Shamika Michelle, and the and his religious right that he have a couple of pastors and some theologists on there that I really really like. Follow all these guys on Twitter. Love these guys. Love their content. But Jason Whitlock himself, I kind of the likability kind of diminished a little bit within the last month or so. I can't rightfully say he's on the Candace Owens train. Against Israel and against the war, and don't like Donald Trump anymore, or whatever, blah blah blah. He can do what he want to do, teach his own. But he did something in the past couple of days that, damn, I got to give the dude a little bit of credit. He went outside the box, and he went complete nuclear. I hope I'm saying that right. On Stephen A. Smith. Now, the dislike between Stephen A. Smith and Jason Whitlock goes back a long, long way. Long way. And I don't know the core of the dislike, the core of the hate, but I do know that it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that stuff that Stephen A. has done with his book and his little presidential tour and all this garbage are all fabrications, all lies. So, I'm not putting myself on his side. I'm not putting myself against him. I'm not putting myself on Stephen A.'s side or against him. This is their beef, But I will say Stephen A. is the loser. He is the clear loser. So Stephen A. criticized Cam Newton for platforming Jason Whitlock. They did Cam Newton and Jason Whitlock had a few words, had a few things against each other. They settled it as men. They talked about it on Cam Newton's show. Came to a conclusion, hey, we don't agree with everything, but you know what? You're a good guy. I'm a good guy. We gonna go on. So Stephen A. kind of criticized Cam Newton a couple of times, but he actually went on Cam Newton's show, and I don't know when it happened, maybe in the last week or two, I don't know. But he basically, what Jason Whitlock calls, Negro Wrangled him. And to fully understand this, you have to understand, Jason Whitlock came in one of his shows in full, listen, I didn't watch this movie with Jamie Foxx, but I think it's Diego Unchained or something. He was referencing that Jamie Foxx in this movie was a Negro Wrangler. Any Negro got out of line, he put them in their place and said, yes, a boss. Put them Negroes back in their place. And he basically had his cowboy hat on, some little toy gun, cigarette, and he went straight nuclear on Stephen A. Smith. I'm going to be honest with you, I enjoyed every second of it. I really did. It was great. It was wonderful. Listen, he's off the Trump train. He's no longer consider himself. Excuse me. Let me pause this for a second. I'm back. Sorry about that. I got enough dust in my nose to last a lifetime. But he basically undressed Stephen A. Smith in this show he did. And listen, I understand and I agree with him. If you listen to the Cam Newton show, listen, I don't listen to Cam Newton show. I think I've watched 1 or 2 episodes, and he got some guy and with his co-host or whatever, and I think his name is Peggy. For what reason, I don't know. I got a few questions about Cam Newton. Oh, I don't want to get in a rant or a tangent, but this dude, one of the greatest athletes in the 20th century, from 2000 to 2026, he done some OJ, Walter Payton, Dan Marino type stuff. Dude was just an awesome athlete. And I look at him now, and I'm like, wow, this dude, he got 7 children, but he, let me just say this, and I'm going to continue with him. He just look a little bit sassy to me. And listen, maybe that's part of his skit, you know, his brand, because he's not a traditional podcaster. He's not a traditional alternative media guy. You know, he wants to be different, and he looks different. And I'm not talking about the hats and the mustache. I'm talking about the femininity. But listen, that's neither here nor there. But basically, if you watch the show, Stephen A. Smith did exactly what Jason Whitlock said. He Negro wrangled Cam Newton and Peggy, and basically said, if this Negro come to you again, you're going to have to question. But basically, put up a fight against this fat piece of shit. That's what he called Jason Whitlock, a fat POS. And that's exactly what he did, Negro Wrangler. If you ever want to know the definition of Negro Wrangling, that's what he did. And Jason Whitlock put in some Root stuff. What's James from Good Times? I think he played in Roots, and he put in a couple of scenes of James from Roots, a couple of scenes from Jamie Foxx and Diego Unchained, or whatever that movie was called. Didn't watch it, never will. Don't give a damn about it. But it was brilliant. It was brilliant. And listen, like I said earlier, the guy has said some questionable things in the past month or so when it comes to this administration, the mission in Iran, and Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and this and that. And I guess he's picked his side, but it's definitely not MAGA. So, but I'm continuing to listen to his podcast, because he actually has some interesting people on there, and he done this in a brilliant manner. And man, that's about it. The dude, he hit a home run with this one. Check out Jason Whitlock, and I don't know the episode. I want to say the show came about May the 3rd. No, May the 3rd was a Sunday, so it had to be May the 4th. So check that out, and I think you'll be quite entertained. I know I was. But anyway, short show. I got to go to graduation. I love you guys, and I appreciate you. And like always, in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, you guys stay blessed, and I'll see you next time.